Chapter 7. Day 2 of our visit. Talking with Mother. "Do you know where Carla's husband is?" Mother inquired. I told her Carla did not have a husband. She never married. Carla took the role as my parental figure for 6 years. After Daddy had left us in that house alone when I was 7, landing us in foster care, he regained full custody of us 3 years later. The first 2 years after he had gotten us back, he took us with him whenever he traveled. He was determined to never leave us again. Devotedly, he sat in the audience when Carla walked across the stage to get her high school diploma at age 17. He stood up and screamed, "Go, Carla!" That surprised me because he did not usually do things like that. He was so proud of her. He did his best to stay with us. That is, until Carla turned 18. Jerome, Grayson, and Terrence were in the military. Daddy began traveling again without us. This time, leaving Denisha and me to live with Carla, who was now a legal adult. I lived with her from ages 12 through 17. She was kind of like a mother to me. I had to ask for her permission to go places. My big sister would say, "You can go after you clean up that kitchen." I would beg to wear her clothes and shoes. She would say, "No, they are too big for you." I would plead with her until finally she would say, "Go ahead and wear them." We all laughed. Erica asked, "Oh, did you know that my mom was homecoming queen at her high school?" My mother said, "Oh, you were?" "Yes, I was football homecoming queen," I said. Mother laughed. Then she remembered how, when she was in grammar school, the boys and girls who sold the most cookies were crowned king and queen. She remembered that the homecoming ceremony was celebrated on May Day of each year. She said her school had relay races first thing in the morning. Then in the evening we had May Day, she recalled. I asked her what grade she went to in school. She said she went to the 12th grade. "But I was in a different place back then," she said. "What place were you in?" Erica asked. She told Erica the name of the city and state she was in back then. I was impressed with the way Erica asked her for clarification at a moment when I was wondering what a different place meant, but had not thought to ask. I asked my mother if she went to college. She said, "No, I just finished school. That's all." I asked her how old she was when she first got married. She said, "I was 20. I had just got my first job." I asked her what she did at her first job, and she said she hung up coats and put them in place. Then she continued her story. "So after I got my job, I worked there for 2 years. Then that's when I met my husband. There was a girl who worked at the same place where I worked. So she asked me, 'You want to come over my sister's house with me?' I said, 'Yeah, I'll go.' So at her sister's house, that is where I met my husband." She told me that she and my father moved to another state where he got a job, and they lived there for about 8 years. One day he told her he had to go to Arizona for work. She said, "So he traveled around all over, to get a job. Sometimes he would leave me there, sometimes about a week, and sometimes about 2 weeks before he would come back." Keeping my emotions bottled up was impossible. "Wow!" I exclaimed as the reality of that truth weighed on me. I knew my father had left my 5 siblings and me in a house alone so that he could go work in Florida, but I never knew that was something he often did before my mother left. When he left my siblings and me in that house alone, when I was 7, I thought it was the first time he had done such a thing. Erica asked, "What was it about him that you decided to marry him?" This question made us all laugh. I think my mother was actually blushing as she explained, "Oh, he was nice and he was always helpful to me," she continued. "Yeah, he was nice to me and the kids, and like I said, he worked out of town, you know. And his boss would send him different places. When you're doing cement finishing, as soon as they would finish on one job, he'd go to another one. His boss would give him a job someplace else. Just on and on, we traveled around for a while. I liked the places he took me. Yeah, Erica asked her which child she gave birth to first, Devin or Carla. She said, "Devin," referring to my older brother Jerome, who she called by his middle name. "And after that you had Carla?" Erica asked. "No, Grayson was number 2. I wanted a girl, but it didn't come as a girl. It came as a boy." I said, "Another boy?" She laughed. "So then I had Carla." I asked her if she was happy that she had her girl. She said, "Yeah." We all laughed. She smiled. "I had my girl. She was as cute as a button." Then Mother looked at me and said, "You were the last one. Grace was the last one." I asked her if she remembers having me. She smiled and said, "Yeah." Still talking about me, she continued, "She was a real fat baby. She was the cutest thing you ever want to see." Then she said Terrence was born after Carla. I asked, "And then Denisha?" She said, "Yeah." While talking about the birth order of the children she and my father had together, she tried to quote my birthplace, Terrence's birthplace, and Denisha's birthday. She quoted them all wrong. Then she said, "I had everything written down, but after my stuff was stolen, it was misplaced. I had to write it all down again. Grace was the last one. She was bad, too." We all laughed. I clarified, "You said she was bad?" She said, "Yeah." I joked, "That hasn't changed." We all laughed. Sometimes it seemed like my mother did not realize she was actually talking to me when she recalled memories about Grace. I found that intriguing. I asked her if she remembered walking me to a convenience store in Kansas City. She said, "No." Mother often answered with one word. "Do you remember walking to the store and taking me with you? My brothers and sisters would be at school and Daddy would be at work. You would buy me chocolate-covered malt balls and the clerk would hand them to me." I laughed as I told her how for years I had been sharing the story of how the store clerk would give me malt balls. Later realizing that she had actually paid for the candy and the clerk was merely handing it to me. "Malt balls are my favorite candy to this day because of that." She said, "Oh yeah?" I said, "Yeah." Then I told her I remembered going into the closet in her and my father's bedroom, trying to put on her clothes and shoes. Mother did not seem to think that story was funny. In fact, she looked agitated when I was talking about putting on her clothes and shoes. Seeing the disturbed look on her face made me feel like this could be an example of why she said I was bad. I do remember her picking me up, taking me away from her closet, and as soon as she was not looking, I went right back in. To lighten the moment, Erica asked her which city was her favorite of all the cities she had been to. She said it was the outskirts of Los Angeles, California. She explained, "We lived in a suburban area, and it never got too cold and it never got too hot. It was pleasant all the time in that area. But up in the mountains of Los Angeles, there was snow. We never had snow." Erica asked her how she ended up in her current city and state. "Oh, I had a friend that came here and he brought me along." Then she digressed to talking about a job she had at a toy manufacturing company while she and my father were together. "I got a job so I could help bring some money in." She recalled how she was able to use her employee discount to buy toys for her children. She remembered buying a toy oven for Carla. It had a little stove and a little sink, and you put the water in the back in a container. Then you'd turn on the faucet and the water really came out of the faucet. And then it was an iron, it didn't get hot, just warm enough where they wouldn't burn themselves. Carla loved that. She would say, "Mommy, help me bake a cake." So it baked little cakes and cookies, and they loved that. We all smiled. I told my mother that Carla had raved about that toy oven for years, and how she would always tell the story of how it was a gift from her mother, listing each and every function it would perform. Erica asked my mother what is her favorite thing to do currently. I do not think she understood Erica's question. She answered, "Well, I haven't been around them in a while. It's a long story, but I'm trying to get things together where I can see my family again." "We would love it if you came to Kansas City, but we also know that you have a home here and you are used to being here and you're probably comfortable here. It's kind of scary. I wouldn't want to move to another state. So why would you want to?" "Right. It's a nice place to live for now. You never know what's going to happen when you look ahead, Right now, I'd rather stay here, Those were her exact words. Hearing her say this solidified my understanding of the fact that she would prefer to stay where she is for now. However, this was a great opportunity for me to pull out the assisted living information.
If you enjoyed this story, please like this video and subscribe to our channel.